Hi everybody, I decided to try to make this video in the time allotted today before Rachel's tutor shows up to try to show you how to make my low point yeast biscuits that I just posted the other day. And I'm going to try to deviate from all my jabbering and only show you a couple of key ingredients. One, of course, obviously, being the King Arthur 00 pizza flour, which is 8 points per cup, versus regular all-purpose flour, which is 13 points per cup. This recipe uses 3.5 cups of flour. With all-purpose flour, it would be about 45 or so points of flour. Using the King Arthur, it is 24 points of flour. So huge difference. However, if you use all-purpose flour instead for convenience and cost, these are 4 points per big biscuit versus 2 points if you use this stuff. So aside from that, I'm also adding rich buttery flavor without actually using butter, McCormick's butter extract, which you can find in the spice aisle. And instead of the active dry yeast, which I've used forever, just to make it easier for everybody and cut down on time and prep, I'm using instant yeast. You might find it as bread machine yeast. However, any recipe that calls for instant or rapid rise yeast, same thing. So we're using rapid rise yeast for this. So in this, I have 3.5 cups of flour, 2 cups of thick strained Greek yogurt. I have Phage because it's thicker, where if you use store brand, like I mentioned in the recipe notes, store brand Greek yogurt is usually a lot thinner and more liquidy, so you'll end up needing to use less water later. 1 large egg, 3.5 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of the instant yeast, 2 teaspoons of vinegar, which I'll explain as we're adding it, and the 1 teaspoon of butter extract in a little kid Easter cup, because that's all we have over here. Butter flavored cooking spray, and an amount of water we will determine in a little bit. First things first, we need to mix all these ingredients together. So let's get cracking on that. All right, so I have been mixing this together. Get back in the pool. With just the Greek yogurt. I have not added any water yet, and this is dry on purpose. I'm going to add an 8-second spray of my butter flavored cooking spray. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stir that in there, and this is still going to be dry because we don't want to add, I don't want to put in my recipe, add this exact amount of water because of the different brands of Greek yogurt you might be using. Where Phage is very thick. If you buy, for instance, the Vaughn's or Kroger Select Signature brand, it's much more watery. So if we add the 2 cups of that, this will be very watery if we then add just a blanket amount of water. So I know how much to use for Phage, but I'm going to do it the conservative way for you guys. So now, earthquake. Now that we have this to this consistency, we're going to add the water 1 tablespoon at a time. 1 and 2, and I'm going to stop at 2. And let's mix this up. We're going to mix it, and it's still going to be dry, but we don't want it to be too wet. We want to add water little by little until it just starts to come together. So that was 2. I'm going to add another 1 and another 2. So far that is 4 tablespoons of water altogether, 1/4 cup, which is with Phage. This is mixing up pretty good. It's starting to get to about the texture of a nice, almost soft Play-Doh, which is what I'm going for here. Oops, I almost forgot to add in the vinegar and the 1 teaspoon of butter extract. So this just came together into, oh, I need to stop hitting that stand, into a nice ball. I'm going to spray the bottom with a little bit of cooking spray to help it not stick. On the sides of the dish, there we go. We're going to set this here with plastic wrap on top of it for 1 hour and then walk away. All right, our dough has been resting for an hour. So one of the reasons we added vinegar is that along with reacting with the baking powder to help cause little bubbles, like when you do the volcano experiment as a kid, vinegar also, you don't need to use a lot of it, but vinegar helps soften gluten and break it down a bit, so it will actually make the dough a little bit more tender. That combined with the acidity in the Greek yogurt anyway, you know, this is rocking. So we are going to set this to the side, bring over a cutting board. I'm going to do my best to stop elbowing the stand so you don't get the earthquake effect. And I have a 0 point amount, which is 1.5 teaspoon of flour. I'm going to put this here to help reduce the chance of our dough sticking. Going to bring it over here. Nice and fluffy and airy. Nice. That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna spray this pot. And I'm not going to, you know, just like knead and crank most traditional biscuit recipes. You know, obviously you fold the dough and all that. Well, these are yeast biscuits. This is essentially a cross between a traditional biscuit as far as texture goes and a fluffy and airy yeast dinner roll. So it's a nice mix. But my goal right now is to get to this, which is right now, and yes, I do keep a tape measure in the kitchen because I'm a nerd. Right now it's at 2.5 inches domed. And my goal is to get it spread out and be a uniform 1 inch. I don't want to smash this down and kill everything, you know. And yes, I did spray a pan. You can use your palm and press down. I'm just doing this for quickness. And gently, I'm going to spread this out. And going to get this up. I didn't hit the stand. I hit the phone with my head on that one. A giant coconut. And right now, we are at 1.25 inch on this side, 1 inch here. So here's good. We are at 1 inch. All right, so as far as biscuit cutter goes, when I originally made the recipe, I was using just these plain, simple biscuit cutters. And the problem is these are only 1 inch tall, so it's, you know, pretty tight fit there. So I just got this in today, a set of the taller biscuit cutters that actually have a little handle you could push down. And these are, well, this particular one is 2 3/4 inches. So I'm going to spray the inside of this. I have a pan lined with parchment paper. Going to put my cutter towards the edge and push down. I'm going to make sure that's in view. I'm actually going to peel the flour away from that. You could use your fingers, you could use a knife, and I'm doing that, cool, just so that it's easier to remove the biscuit, you know, pulling it out that way. And so I have my one biscuit, and I'm going to set it down over here towards the edge. Again, spray the inside, move it over here to the edge again, and there we go. Same thing. Peel the dough away. It makes it easy to then remove the biscuit. Gummy. And I'm going to set the biscuits a 1/4 inch apart. Now, for all you ladies who are wondering, you know, what's an easy guide for a 1/4 inch, in case you're not familiar with tape measures and all that, this is my wife's. She will kill me if she knows that I'm using it for this. Lip liner pencil. This is, ta-da, right there, about a 1/4 inch, which is 1/4 inch. And there you go. Now, I have filled this up so far, making nice clean cuts, but then I had all the leftover scraps, so I'm just going to now come in and knead these just to get them back into a consistent, you know, little round of dough. Spray this so it won't stick, and roll this back out to 1 inch thickness, and cut some more biscuits, and keep doing that with the scraps till the dough is all used up. All right, because I've only made these one time before, I forgot, instead of just doing them all in the middle, I wanted to have these so these all had a uniform space around them, so I actually had to do it in this star pattern. If you have a large rectangular sheet instead of a circle one like I can, you can arrange them on your triangular sheet. But this is what I got, so this is what I'm using. I have this tiny little scrap of dough left. That's fine, I'll just bake this up. There's a little bread nugget on the side for Rachel. But right now, I'm going to spray the top of these with cooking spray, and then walk away for 1 hour. All right, everybody, we're coming to the home stretch. We have let these rise for an hour, and you can see they've puffed out a lot. Right now, there are some that are 1 3/4 inches tall, and others that are under 1.5, so it varies. But the next step is right now, I cracked an egg and whipped it, some of the egg wash over the top of each of the biscuits. This will give a nice crust, not crush, to all of the finished baked biscuits, and give them a beautiful dark golden color. So we're going to do this with all of the biscuits, and as soon as we're done, then we will turn on our oven to 425 degrees and let these sit and continue to rise until our oven is up to temperature. Again, don't trust your oven beeping and telling you it's at the right temperature. Make sure you have a thermometer inside your oven, and as soon as it is actually at 425 degrees, then put the biscuits in. All right, our oven is up to 425 degrees, so I'm going to put the biscuits in our oven, and as soon as they are a nice golden color on top, I will take them out, which should be between 16 to 18 minutes. All right, so they cooked for exactly, in my oven, 16 minutes. Every, minute or two after the 12-minute mark, I would reach in and rotate the pan a little bit to make sure that none of them burnt. But when I say the tops are a nice golden, that is what I mean. So these are perfect, and then you just pull them apart. Let's see. Make a little separation. And the tallest one would be this baby. Let me measure. This one is about 2 1/4 inches tall, and the smallest one that didn't rise up that much is only about 1 1/2. So these fluctuate between 1 1/2 to 2 1/4 inches tall.